And thanks for being with us, everyone. Year-on-year inflation rate for the month of November jumped to 50.3% at the back of rising food and fuel price increases. This is the highest in 27 years. The figure shows an upward adjustment of more than 9% from the previous figure of 40.2%, according to the Ghana Statistical Service. This is also the highest rate of increase recorded since the rebasing of the economy. Here's government statistician Professor Samuel Kobnenim addressing the media.
Every item can be part of only one subclass, and every subclass can be part of only one class. What this literally means is that all the items are mutually exclusive, which allows us to do disaggregation based on the hierarchy that we indicated earlier on. That is the 13 divisions, 44 groups, 98 classes, 156. The food division, having a weight of 43.7%, contributed more to the 50.3 inflation that was recorded for the month of November 2022. Specifically, the contribution of food and non-alcoholic beverages for the month of November 2022 was 47.9%, distantly followed by housing, water, electricity and gas 16.3%, and transport 12.9%. This really depicts the relative importance of the weights associated with the divisions and the items used for the computation of consumer price index and rate of inflation. Knowing that food contributed the highest rate of inflation, we narrowed down on the various subclasses on a year-on-year basis and on a month-on-month basis that saw food contributing 47.9% to the 50.3% overall inflation that was recorded for the month of November 2022.
Well, joining us on Zoom, partner Deloitte Ghana, Yao Lati, to react to this. Thank you for your time, Yao. And so, well, no surprises, but I guess it's the 9 percentage point increase that is baffling, isn't it?
Yes, so good afternoon. I hope I'm audible.
Very audible.
Excellent. So I guess it's not surprising given the key factors or the three contributors of inflation in Ghana. And as you know, just to summarize it, we call it the 3Fs. So the three key factors that contribute to inflation in Ghana are first, food, secondly, fuel, and then the third is financial conditions. So globally, and for most developing countries like ours, if these three factors move upwards, you are likely to see inflation also trending upwards. And I think I would like to summarize the 5 key contributors of inflation in Ghana, which is usually published by the Ghana Statistical Service. So in the month of September, inflation was 37.2. This rose to 40.4 in October, and in November, we are currently having 50.3%. And like you said, it's over 9 percentage points jump in the month of November and from October to November. And the 5 key contributors are housing, water, electricity, and gas, what I call utilities. So in the month of November, utilities were at about 68.8%, and in the month of October at 68.8%. In the month of November, they shot up to 79%. The second was furnishing household equipment. As you know, a lot of purchases for household appliances, driven by promotions such as Black Friday and all, takes place in November. And so household equipment, which was about 51%, in the month of October, shot up 55%. The third is transport, and we know the key driver of transport is fuel. So as fuel prices are increasing, transport prices also go up. So transport price was 48%, they shot up to 63%. That's almost 20 percentage point increase in transport fares. The fourth is personal care, and then the last, food inflation, what we call food and then non-alcoholic beverages. That was around 48%, shooting up 53%. So when you have these 3 key factors, like I said, fuel, food, and then financial conditions, finance increasing, you are likely to have increasing inflation rates.
And well, we were told that things are going to get better once we are able to clinch that IMF deal. Yesterday, we saw a significant progress with the reaching of a staff-level agreement. How is that important in getting inflation to trickle down?
Yeah, so it's going to affect 2 main contributors of inflation. First is utilities. So the cost of fuel is going to go down significantly because of the depreciation of the local currency, which has now stabilized. So if we've seen some stability in the depreciation of the local currency, we should expect inflation to peak in the month of December and then should see some downward trend. If not a downward trend, we are going to see what we call a dip in growth. So we've seen a 9 percentage points increase from October to November. But let's say in the month of December, January, we are not going to have as high as 9 percentage point difference. It may be something lower, even though there will be an increase. So we should expect inflation to peak with the stability in the local currency and also us reaching IMF agreement. So it will first affect fuel and also it will affect transport fares positively. And then the third is that, as you know, inflation is driven by domestic or imported inflation. And imported inflation has been the key contributor of inflation growth in the last 5 months because of the depreciation of local currency at over 50%. So if the local currency stabilizes or sees some stability, imported inflation is going to slow down and we are going to see a dip in growth or some increase in inflation, but at a lower pace.
And the hurdle we have to cross in reaching that all-important deal has to do with the debt restructuring. Like the IMF pointed out, they need sufficient assurances. And we've seen organized labor kick against the debt exchange program. I'm just wondering, what choice does the government have now? Because this is an important precondition for a board approval.
Yeah, so I think that question is both government and then to even the investors. At the end of the day, the question to them is also, what option do they have if you don't also subscribe to this debt restructuring arrangement? Because the good news is we've seen in other countries. In Zambia, for instance, they embarked on the same restructuring. But Zambia, unlike Zambia, they had defaulted on their sovereign debt. Ghana has not defaulted yet. We have only gotten some staff level agreement. And so what that should do is to accelerate our engagement with both domestic and international lenders. We are in a very difficult situation. It is not a pleasant situation. But I think what is important is for both parties to sit at the table and look at available. For me, the IMF staff level agreement gives some comfort. Because when we had a similar problem in 2015, 2016, we went to the international market to borrow with a guarantee from the World Bank. In the same way, this debt restructuring and then us reaching the IMF staff level agreement provides some comfort to investors. Most of the investors and lenders have not subscribed to the domestic exchange program because they weren't comfortable with it, and first, they had not been informed enough to take a decision. But we think that this IMF staff level agreement to accelerate engagement with the domestic bondholders who are still adopting what we call a wait-and-see attitude to rather come to the table and engage with government.
Is there an alternative to the proposal put forward by government? Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, so I think I can give the Zambia example. So Zambia, before they also started this program, what they did was that they had an IMF supporting with 1.3 billion for their loan program, or what we call debt restructuring program. We should also have this 3 billion amount that we are looking at, a portion of it, maybe 1.5 billion or 2 billion, allocated to what we call our loan program or our domestic and international loan program. So in the event that some of these lenders bring terms that are quite onerous, you use these conditions to put on the table. And it gives comfort to them because a lot of them do not have assurance that even if you tell me that in the year 2023, you are paying me 0% interest rate, and let's say the year after you pay me 5% or 10%, what's the guarantee that even when you get there, you will still not come back to the zero? So having an IMF agreement and an IMF extended credit facility gives comfort to these investors that, look, I'm still ready to take a haircut, but the haircut should come with some form of guarantee. And that guarantee is that beyond 2023, I'll still get some money back.
All right, and whilst government tries to figure its way around this, we have some good news about the city. It's continuing to rally against the US dollar and other major trading currencies. How much of this has got to do with the IMF deal that was reached, the staff level agreement that was reached just yesterday? Are you there, Yao? All right, I think we have a bit of a challenge with Yao. Hopefully we get him back, we'll continue the conversation. But we head next to the spare parts hub in Accra, Bosokan, where scores of dealers have shut down operations after defaulting in payment of their loans. We'll bring that to you, but I figure that Yao is back. So I want to conclude that conversation. Can you hear me, Yao? You're muted. Can you hear me? You're muted, Yao. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. So we're making a point about the city and its strong showing in recent days. I was just asking how much that has got to do with the IMF staff level agreement reached yesterday.
Yeah, so generally, when you reach an IMF staff level agreement, it provides what we call investor confidence and then brings the credibility that was lost back into the economy. So that credibility has been restored. And when you have that, the speculative investors now go back to the market and start buying what we call the local currency. So now people are looking for cedi and rather putting the dollar on the market. And so it's partly contributed by the IMF staff level agreement and then restoring confidence in the economy and also restoring confidence in the local currency. And I think that's a positive news, and we expect this to continue for a while.
For a while? For how long?
Well, that's the biggest question, because beyond reaching a staff level agreement, we would also have to reach a staff board, IMF board approval. If that board approval delays, we are likely to return to a situation where people start speculating again.
And so, well, just as we're coming on air, one of my colleagues said, well, this could be also positive speculation driving down the rates. You think so?
Yes, and it is. And I think for me, it's a good thing, because a lot of people who have bought dollars had no need and no use for the dollars. So why buy the dollars? If you want people who are doing the importation, the BDCs, and those who are importing for Christmas goods to be buying the dollars, and not speculative investors who have no use for the dollars.
All right, Yao Lartey, thank you so much. Partner Deloitte Ghana joined us with his thoughts on inflation hitting 50.3%, and also the IMF staff level agreement reached, and the city as well. So back.